8:37 here, Big 550 KTRS. How about this movie starring Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo, Vanessa Redgrave, Sienna Miller, and Anthony Michael Hall, just to name a few. It's called Foxcatcher, and it's Friday at the St. Louis International Film Festival, and it's all about the life of our next guest, Nancy Schultz. Welcome back to Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you. It's nice to be in the St. Louis area again.
First of all, Sienna Miller plays you?
She does.
Yeah. Does she do it well?
She does.
That's-
She honored the entire story. Very lovely. She was very careful about how she portrayed me and how they respected Dave's character in the movie.
Tell us, it's a true story, took place in the 80s. What's the story?
It did. Well, we were living in an Olympic training center, and it was funded by a very wealthy gentleman named John DuPont. And during the time we were there, he failed both with an alcohol addiction and a cocaine addiction, and his mental health just over time deteriorated. And in January 1996, he came to our home and shot my husband and killed him.
And your husband at the time was who?
David Schultz.
But I mean, he was a...
He was an Olympic champion. They both won the Olympics in 1984.
Right.
And the film basically compresses time to a certain degree. So the film basically takes place from 1984 to 1988, the 84 Olympics being done and the preparation for the 88 Olympics coming.
Right.
And you're saying they, meaning your husband and your brother-in-law.
Right. They both won the Olympics in 84 at the LA Games.
How hard is it to create a movie about probably what has to be the hardest thing you've ever gone through?
I think it was an honor to be on the set. Bennett Miller allowed me to come on the set and have some, use some of my experiences to help them tweak some of the scenes. So
Right.
I felt like Bennett Miller and the actors, did a very good job of honoring the characters. I mean, they really put these characters on, wrapped them in themselves, and kind of stayed in character during the whole shoot. So the characters themselves, Dave Schultz, Mark Schultz, and John DuPont, are played very, very accurately.
And I got to tell you, Steve Carell looks just like John
You don't
DuPont.
recognize him, do you?
No.
Yeah. He would come in very early to the set at like 5 o'clock in the morning and spend a couple hours in makeup, prosthetic nose, and all this, and then just kind of stay in that character all day, which was he presented himself much like DuPont did. DuPont was very socially awkward and uncomfortable, so Steve would do his part and then just kind of hang on the edges of the set and not really interact with people and kind of stay in that character.
Do you have to relive this over and over again? Or, I mean, have you sort of put it in a place where you can sort of leave it and come back to it and this is separate?
I think you definitely tuck it away in a different place. It's hard to relive. It's been almost 20 years, so it's been time, and I've healed. And I think Dave was a very positive character and a very interesting human being. So for me, it's always a joy to share a little bit of David with the world.
Yeah.
What's interesting is for the trial, John DuPont was trying to plead guilty by reason,
Not guilty by reason of insanity.
but that didn't quite work, right?
No, not at all.
And he died in prison.
He did die in prison. Yeah, they presented that case. The thing is, when he killed Dave, he was well dressed, well clean, clean shaven and all that. But slowly over time, the defense attorneys had him kind of create this Howard Hughes look. His hair got longer and longer. He came in a wheelchair with no apparent injury. So they tried to create this illusion. But as soon as the jury found out that the lawyers were actually asking him not to be shaved and not to be.
Right.
It was very, they're very well. And after the murder, he went home and called his attorney, which is one of those things, not guilty by reason of insanity. You have to really not know right from wrong.
Yeah.
There's a certain really specific legal standard, and he just didn't meet those standards.
Did they come to you and say, we want to make a movie?
Bennett called me many years ago, 6-7 years ago, and said he was going to make a movie about my brother-in-law, and that it wasn't, there's going to be some freedom in the storyline, etc. But then over time, it just, I got closer and closer with him, and he allowed me to come on the set, so the story just became more real.
What was it about? What did he find interesting about the story to want to tell? He wasn't attached to it in any way.
I think I've heard Bennett liken it to, he said he just saw this Greek tragedy. There's this wealthy man, DuPont, with all the money in the world and still never found happiness in life, just failed. And Mark Schultz, who had an Olympic champion under his belt and still wasn't able to really succeed in life. And these two tragic figures And then kind of in the middle is comparison is Dave Schultz, who was very successful and Family Man and things like this. So I think he found a tragic tale.
So it's tonight, or excuse me, Friday night, St. Louis International Film Festival. Tickets at the door, 8:30 at Plaza Frontenac. Anything else we need to know about the movie?
No, it's nice to be back. I'm visiting family. This is my hometown. So
Oh, you're from St. Louis
I'm here,
originally.
so I will have about 30 of my friends and family members at the theater tonight.
Where'd you go to high
tomorrow.
school?
I actually moved before I went to high school.
Where'd you go to high school?
Well, she's from St. Louis.
I went to
you
high
know-
school in Norman, Oklahoma.
Well, we will not hold that against her.
Thank you.
All right, fair enough. All right, good. So it's Friday night, 8:30, Plaza Frontenac, St. Louis International Film Festival. When it's all said and done, and you're watching the movie, and you're watching Sienna Miller play you, and you're watching it over, do you get? I mean, it's got to be. You watch this movie differently than everybody else who will see it.
I do, and it's interesting. What you don't know is, for instance, Mark Ruffalo is wearing my husband's real glasses and wearing some of his clothing. Sienna Miller is wearing, they really duplicated. The pictures on the wall in our home are the same as the pictures on our wall when we really had. They really duplicated. The Foxcatcher training facility is down to the minute detail,
Right.
exactly the same. So they really took some extraordinary steps to make this an accurate film.
Foxcatcher, starring Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo, Vanessa Redgrave, Anthony Michael Hall. What character does Anthony Michael Hall play?
He's like DuPont's personal assistant.
Okay, all right.
I just want to mention also that after this tragedy, your brother-in-law went ahead and competed like 6 months after, didn't he? And
No, my brother-in-law pretty much retired in 1988. He participated in an MMA fight.
That's what it
I think
was.
that's the one that you're seeing in the
Okay.
film as well. Yeah, he did. He fought in an MMA fight just once.
It's an official selection of the Cannes, Telluride, Toronto, New York, London film festivals, including St. Louis International Film Festival, Friday night, 8:30 p.m., Plaza Frontenac. Nancy Schultz, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You got it, 8:43 here, Big 550,